Moicano versus Joel Alvarez is the fight that makes sense in my opinion. Moicano is now on a 2-fight losing streak, losing to Islam Makhachev and Beneil Dariush. Joel Alvarez on a crazy win streak right now, deserves to jump up in the rankings. And this is still a big fight. Joel Alvarez is a big name in the world of MMA. Moicano obviously really well known with the UFC audience. It's just a fight that makes a lot of sense. Joel Alvarez deserves to jump up. Moicano has to fight down with where he's at in his career in my opinion. So this is definitely the perfect fight for both guys. For Beneil Dariush, I think Grant Dawson makes a lot of sense. Look, I know Beneil is inside the top 10. Grant Dawson's ranked number 14 and Beneil's coming off a win over Moicano. But before that, he was on a 2-fight losing streak, losing both of those fights by first round KO. And since losing to Bobby Green, Grant Dawson has really turned it around. He's on a 3-fight win streak right now. And stylistically, this is a very favourable matchup for Beneil Dariush. Grant Dawson is a good wrestler, but has a pretty weak chin, in my opinion. He's not that durable. Beneil Dariush, I think, can nullify the grappling of Grant Dawson. Yes, Beneil Dariush is really slow on the feet, but he hits really hard. I think it's a very winnable matchup for him. And I just think it makes sense in terms of what other fights can be made in the lightweight division. Next up, we have got a fight that actually is confirmed for the co-main event of UFC Fight Night Paris. We have got Benoit Saint-Denis, Fraud-Check and Mauricio Huffy. I'm telling you right now, I'm calling it. This is the end of the fight nerds as we know it. Benoit Saint-Denis is putting Mauricio Huffy on a fucking t-shirt in the co-main event. But realistically, this is a fight that makes a lot of sense in my opinion. Benoit Saint-Denis is coming off a win, but it was against an unranked no-name, so he shouldn't fight anybody else in the rankings in my opinion. He should have to defend the spot. Mauricio Huffy, up-and-coming prospect, got that big KO win over Bobby Green. I just think this fight makes a lot of sense. For Michael Chandler, it is Conor McGregor. Look, what else is there for Michael Chandler? And the UFC have to capitalise on this fight in some way. McGregor's back in the testing pool. They booked this fight for UFC 303. It fell through. McGregor wants to fight on the White House card. It makes sense. This fight just does make sense. Who else is there for Michael Chandler? There really isn't anybody else. So Michael Chandler should wait out for McGregor. They also done the Ultimate Fighter together. The UFC have to capitalise on this fight. There's no way we don't see this. I think McGregor will fight on the White House card, and I think it will be against Michael Chandler. Gamrot is the most underrated lightweight right now on the UFC's roster. He's coming off a win over Ludwig Klein. Rafael Fiziev's coming off a win over Bahamontes. Their first fight ended in some controversy with Rafael Fiziev's knee blowing up. I think you just rebook it. It makes sense in terms of the current rankings. There isn't really any other big fight out there for either guy. So I think you do Gamrot versus Fiziev too. Dan Hooker versus Paddy Pimblett. Yo, this is the fight to make and no one's talking about it. Tell me why no one else is talking about this matchup. Paddy Pimblett, Dan Hooker makes a lot of sense. Paddy Pimblett needs one more win before fighting for the title. Justin Gaethje doesn't want to fight him. So Dan Hooker somehow is ranked number 6 inside of the UFC's lightweight division. Make this fight happen. 5-round co-main event, UFC 321, Paddy Pimblett versus Dan Hooker. If Paddy Pimblett beats Dan Hooker, which I think there's a good chance that he can, Paddy Pimblett's fighting for the belt after this fight. For Justin Gaethje, it's to the PFL. Or alternatively, if he doesn't want to go to the PFL and it's quicker to get him to Misfits to fight on the fucking undercard of Salt Papi, Tony Ferguson, get him there. Get this guy out of the organisation. His entitlement cannot go on. He says he's going to hang up the gloves if he's not going to fight for the belt. Goodbye. Go to the PFL. Lace up the gloves and fight on Misfits. Get the fuck out of the UFC. That's what should be next for Justin Gaethje. Max Holloway versus Charles Oliveira 2. It's the fight that makes sense. Like, Max Holloway's one win off fighting for the title in my opinion. They did fight before. Weird circumstances, Oliveira got injured. They're both now lightweights. A lot of years have passed since their first matchup. Both guys are really improved. I think you do this on the December pay-per-view. Co-main event, Max Holloway, Charles Oliveira 2 for the BMF title. Ilia Topuria versus Arman Tsarukyan. Look, it's the fight to make. I know Arman fucked up UFC 311, but he is the number 1 contender. And realistically, Ilia says he wants to fight again before the end of the year. He is the face of the UFC outside of Conor McGregor. In terms of active fighters, it is Ilia Topuria. He's your biggest name. Keep him active. Why have him on the sidelines while Arman fights Paddy? Arman's there. He's the number 1 contender. Both guys have had back and forths on social media. It makes sense. Make this fight. Headline the December pay-per-view. Ilia versus Arman. I think Ilia beats Arman Tsarukyan by KO. I think that then helps further the Makhachev matchup because people will be looking, how did Ilia do against Arman compared to how did Islam do against Arman? I know there's a lot of years between those matchups, but still, you know people are going to analyse those. I think it makes a lot of sense. Do this matchup. Don't have Topuria on the sidelines. Don't hold up the division. Just do Arman versus Ilia. Is anyone going to complain if they make this fight outside of fucking Justin Gaethje? Is anybody going to complain? No. Make this fight December pay-per-view, the headliner in Las Vegas. Ilia, Arman, Max Oliveira in the co-main event. Makes a lot of sense. That's how you book the UFC Lightweight division, in my opinion. Let me know what fights you would like to see in the comments below. And as always, like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. And I'll see you all again in the next one.